Consider this scenario. A town's population has been decreasing at a constant rate. In 2010, the population was 6,500. By 2012, the population had dropped to 5,700. Assume this trend continues. Predict the population in 2016. Okay, well, the first thing we want to do is we need to discuss what represents the input and what represents the output. So the input is going to represent T years since 2010, since 2010 is where it's starting in our question. The output is going to be P of T, which represents the population. Now, since it is decreasing at a constant rate, then we know that this is a linear situation. So it's going to be P of T, which is equal to M times T plus B, where M is the slope, T represents the year since 2010, and B is the y-intercept. Okay, so we can figure out currently what our y-intercept would be. Okay, so here it says in 2010 the population was 6,500. So in that scenario, we're going to say that this represents 0 at time 2010, and the population is 6,500. Okay, so what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that the y-intercept B is equal to 6,500. Okay, and so now we need to find another ordered pair, which is given in our problem. Okay, so we have our other ordered pair that's given in our problem, and so we know that 2 years have passed since 2010. So if 2 years have passed since 2010, 2012 minus 2010 is 2, and then we know that the population in 2012 was 5,700. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to figure out what is the slope between those 2 points. And remember that the slope is taking the change in y over the change in x. So we know that y2 represents 5,700. We know that y1 is 6,500. We know that x2 is 2, and we know that x1 is 0. So now when we subtract, we get negative 800 divided by 2, which gives us a slope of negative 400. Okay, so now we know what B represents, which is our y-intercept, which is 6,500, and we know that our slope is equal to negative 400. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug that into our model. So that means P of T is going to equal the slope, which is negative 400 T, plus our y-intercept, which is 6,500. Now the question asks us to predict the population in 2016. So we first need to figure out how many years have passed since 2010. We're going to subtract those two to get the value of 6. And now we're going to plug in 6 into the function to predict what that population is going to be. So it's going to be P of 6 is going to equal negative 400 times 6, and then we're going to add 6,500. So negative 400 times 6 is negative 2,400 plus 6,500. And when we subtract, then we get the value of 4,100. So therefore, the population in 2016 is going to be 4,100.